What if the global financial news you're reading every day is just the tip of an iceberg, hiding a monumental shift that could impact your savings, your future, and even the stability of nations? Are you tired of feeling confused by economic jargon, or just worried about where the world's money is really headed? If you're ready to cut through the noise and understand the true implications of today's headlines, from a potential dollar dump to unexpected geopolitical plays and rising national debt, then you've landed on the right video. We're about to connect the dots on the economic tremors that could reshape everything you know about global finance. Don't just watch the news. Understand its profound impact on your life. Your financial future might just depend on it. So, as we've dissected the headlines, the rejection of a global USD dump, China's surprising BRICS move, and the undeniable US debt spiral, it's clear we're living through an unprecedented period of economic and geopolitical flux. These aren't isolated events, they are interconnected forces that demand your attention. Understanding them is your best defense in an uncertain world. The future of global finance is not a spectator sport, it's a dynamic battleground, and staying informed is your most powerful weapon. If this deep dive has opened your eyes to the hidden currents shaping our economy, make sure you don't miss our next crucial analysis.
Welcome to a critical analysis of the forces shaping our global financial future. Today, we're dissecting three headlines that, when woven together, paint a compelling picture of the economic shifts, geopolitical maneuvering, and the challenging road ahead for the world's most dominant currency. We'll explore why one top financial mind dismisses the idea of a global dollar dump, what China's surprising BRICS move truly signals, and how recent US policy decisions could be setting the stage for an unprecedented debt spiral. Stay with us, because understanding these interconnected events is crucial for anyone navigating today's complex economic landscape. First, let's address the persistent buzz about a global USD dump. For years, we've heard discussions, particularly from nations seeking more autonomy from the US financial system, about the desire to lessen reliance on the US dollar. These conversations intensify with every geopolitical tremor or significant shift in international relations. The narrative often suggests a collective movement among major economies to diversify away from dollar holdings, potentially leading to a sharp devaluation or a loss of its reserve currency status. It's a topic that sparks strong opinions and often fuels considerable market speculation. However, a highly respected voice in the financial world, Karen Bessent, Co-Chief Investment Officer at Bridgewater Associates, a firm renowned for its global macro insights, has explicitly rejected this notion. Her stance is not a dismissal of the desire for de-dollarization among some nations, but rather a cold, hard assessment of the practicalities. Bridgewater's analytical approach often focuses on the fundamental mechanics of global finance and the immense infrastructure supporting the dollar's dominance. It's a viewpoint grounded in the reality of deep, liquid markets and established financial pathways. Bessent and others who share her view argue that despite the political rhetoric, there simply isn't a viable, liquid, and trustworthy alternative currency at scale to replace the dollar's role in global trade, finance, and reserves. The sheer depth of US capital markets, the stability of its legal system, and the established payment infrastructure make it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for nations to suddenly divest from dollar-denominated assets without incurring massive costs and disruptions to their own economies. Transitioning away from the dollar would require decades, not years, to build comparable infrastructure. Now, let's pivot to a recent BRICS development that caught many by surprise: China's President Xi Jinping skipping a key BRICS summit. The BRICS bloc, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has positioned itself as a counterweight to Western-dominated global institutions. A core part of their agenda has been to explore alternatives to the dollar for trade and investment, seeking to foster a more multipolar financial world. Summits are crucial platforms for these discussions and for showcasing unity. Xi's absence from such a high-profile gathering, especially for a leader who typically leverages international forums to project influence, immediately raised eyebrows. It deviates from standard diplomatic practice for a head of state to miss a summit of this magnitude without a compelling and publicly articulated reason. This unexpected move inevitably sparked widespread speculation about its underlying causes and potential implications for the cohesion and ambitions of the BRICS group. The implications of Xi's absence are multifaceted. On one hand, it could signal internal priorities or domestic challenges that demanded his immediate attention, overriding international engagements. On the other, it might suggest subtle disagreements or a strategic re-evaluation within the BRICS bloc itself regarding its direction, expansion, or the pace of de-dollarization efforts. It might also be a deliberate signal, indicating China's preference for bilateral engagements over multilateral forums when specific goals are not aligned. Whatever the reason, it certainly doesn't project the unified front BRICS often seeks to present to the world. Transitioning from these global dynamics, we now turn our attention to the U.S. domestic economic front, where recent policy decisions have triggered significant concerns. Specifically, President Trump's administration has implemented fiscal policies that, while aimed at stimulating economic growth or addressing specific national priorities, have coincided with a substantial increase in the national debt burden. These decisions, involving either increased spending or reduced tax revenues without corresponding offsets, have significantly widened the budget deficit. When we talk about a U.S. debt spiral, we are referring to a dangerous economic phenomenon where a nation's accumulated debt becomes so large that a significant portion of new borrowing is required just to pay the interest on existing debt. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle. Larger deficits lead to more borrowing, which leads to higher interest payments, which in turn lead to even larger deficits, and so on. It's akin to continually increasing the size of your credit card balance just to cover the minimum payment. The mechanics of a debt spiral manifest through various channels. As the government increases its borrowing, it competes with private borrowers for capital, potentially driving up interest rates across the economy. Higher interest rates then make it more expensive for the government to service its burgeoning debt. Furthermore, persistent, large deficits can erode investor confidence, potentially leading to demands for even higher yields on U.S. Treasury bonds, further exacerbating the interest payment burden. There's also the risk of inflationary pressure if the central bank monetizes this debt. The potential impact on the U.S. economy is profound. A debt spiral can lead to slower economic growth as more national resources are diverted to debt servicing rather than productive investments. It can threaten the dollar's stability, potentially fueling inflation and eroding the purchasing power of citizens. For investors, it introduces significant uncertainty and risk, potentially shifting capital away from U.S. markets. Ultimately, it risks undermining the long-term fiscal health and global standing of the United States. These three seemingly disparate headlines are, in fact, deeply interconnected. Bessent's rejection of a rapid USD dump underscores the dollar's fundamental strength, despite aspirations for alternatives. However, the U.S. internal fiscal challenges, as triggered by recent policy, could introduce vulnerabilities that even the dollar's inherent advantages might struggle to fully withstand over time. China's BRICS move, regardless of its specific cause, adds another layer of geopolitical complexity, reflecting the ongoing global rebalancing act and the search for economic leverage beyond traditional frameworks. Looking ahead, we face several potential scenarios. The U.S. could implement significant fiscal reforms to curb the debt trajectory, or the situation could continue spiraling, leading to more dramatic economic consequences. Globally, the push for de-dollarization may either gain renewed momentum if U.S. fiscal health deteriorates, or it may remain a long-term aspiration, acknowledging the immense practical hurdles. The interplay between domestic policy and international financial stability will define the coming years. In conclusion, the global financial landscape is characterized by a fascinating tension, the enduring strength of the US dollar, challenged by both geopolitical ambition from blocs like BRICS and the internal fiscal pressures of the US itself. Understanding these dynamics is not just for economists, it's for anyone who wishes to comprehend the forces shaping our investments, our purchasing power, and the future of global stability. The headlines we discussed today are not isolated incidents but integral pieces of a much larger, evolving puzzle.
Subscribe to your channel name here right now to stay ahead of the curve. Give this video a thumbs up if it helped you understand these complex issues, and leave a comment below. What concerns you most about the global economy, and what topics should we tackle next? Your insights help us guide this crucial conversation. Share this video to empower others with knowledge. Thank you for watching, and remember, knowledge is your greatest asset in the financial world.